Chapter 10. Wind in the Trees. John and Annie whirled around to look. The shaggy brown bear was walking slowly toward the campfire. It stopped and stared at the three of them. "Be very still," John said softly to Jack and Annie. "Is it a grizzly?" whispered Jack. "She is indeed," said John. "You were right. I thought there were no grizzlies left in Yosemite. Perhaps she is the last one." "That's sad," said Annie. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" John said. "Can you sketch her for me?" "Yes," whispered Annie. She reached into her pocket and took out her sketchbook. Though he was scared of the bear, Jack did the same thing. The grizzly didn't move. She stood very still and kept gazing at the three of them. Jack's heart was pounding. By the firelight, he pressed his pencil against the white page. The pencil started moving. Soon Jack had sketched the outline of the bear. He then drew clumps of shaggy fur and big paws and claws. He darkened the bear's nose and ears. By the time he finished his sketch, Jack wasn't afraid of the grizzly anymore. The bear was beautiful, just as John had said. The grizzly huffed and shook her large head. She directed her gaze at Annie and stared at her. "Okay, I'll tell them," Annie said to the bear. The bear huffed again. Then she turned and lumbered back the way she had come. "Tell us what?" John asked her. "Yeah, what?" said Jack, eager to hear. "She wants us to know that she didn't mean us any harm yesterday," said Annie. "She believes all living things have a right to exist. Because she's the last grizzly bear in Yosemite, she's moving on. She's going to find a place where she's not around people so she won't scare them anymore. A place where she can be her true self and be—" Wait, stop," said Jack. "With other grizzly bears," finished Annie. "She didn't say all that," said Jack. Annie grinned. "Trust me," she said. John of the Mountains laughed. "I trust you, Annie," he said. "And the bear." Then he looked around. "Friends, it's nearly dark. I think you'd better return to the hotel with me." "Oh, wow, I hear her," said Annie, jumping up. She stared at the forest. "I hear her calling us." "Who, the bear?" said Jack. "No, Morgan, our teacher. She's here. I just heard her call our names from beyond the trees." Annie shouted at the woods. "Hold on, Morgan, we're coming. Stay there." "Oh, right," said Jack. He jumped up. "Our ride home is here, calling to us from beyond the trees." "I didn't hear anyone," said John. "Really?" said Annie. "Yes, but to be honest, I don't hear people as well as I hear nature," said John. "I will wait here by the fire a while. If you don't find your teacher, promise me you will come right back." "We will, thank you," said Jack. "Thank you for everything, for bringing us back here, and for a great camping trip." "We'll never forget you, John," said Annie. "Please take our sketchbooks as a gift, and say goodbye to President Teddy for us." Jack and Annie handed their sketchbooks to John in the Mountains. "Thank you, friends. I will treasure these," he said. "Have a good trip home." "You too, John. Bye," said Annie. Then she called toward the giant trees. "Coming, Morgan!" She grabbed Jack's hand and pulled him deeper into the forest. "There," said Jack. He and Annie ran to the rope ladder hanging on the other side of the giant tree. Annie started up. Jack followed. They climbed through the dark step by step, until finally they reached the top of the sequoia. By the time they slipped inside the treehouse, the sky was filled with stars. The leaves of all the big trees were shaking. Far below, they could barely see the glow of John's campfire. "Goodbye, John of the Mountains. Goodbye, California," Annie said softly. "Goodbye, President Teddy, and mules, and last grizzly bear, and—" While Annie kept saying her goodbyes, Jack started to hear a humming sound. The sound seemed to be coming from the wind-blown trees. "Annie, listen," said Jack. "Goodbye, Douglas squirrel, alpine butterfly," said Annie. "Waterfall and stars." "Annie, listen," said Jack. Annie stopped talking and listened to the rustling leaves of the giant trees. More and more sounds filled the evening air, the strange whirring voices of all the living things of Yosemite. The wind stirred the voices together, blending them into one timeless, wordless song. The song grew louder and louder until it was nearly deafening. Then suddenly it softened, died down, and stopped. What was that?" said Jack, with wonder. He'd never heard anything like that. "Nature's song," said Annie, "the song that John hears." "Oh, wow," breathed Jack. After a long moment of silence, Annie sighed. Time to go, she said. Jack couldn't speak. Annie grabbed the Pennsylvania book. She found the picture of Frog Creek. I wish we could go there. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster, and then everything was still. Absolutely still. The Frog Creek woods were quiet. It was early evening. No time at all had passed in Frog Creek while Jack and Annie were gone. We're wearing our own clothes again, said Annie. She felt in the pockets of her hoodie. Darn, no more magic pencils. Jack smiled. Yeah, I love drawing with them. Me too, said Annie. Sketching nature helped me pay attention and see things better. Definitely, said Jack. Maybe I'll take some art classes at the Y. He sighed. That trip was... He was at a loss for words. Perfect? Said Annie. Perfect, agreed Jack. We'd better go, said Annie. We've used up half of our 14 minutes. All right, said Jack. He followed Annie down the rope ladder. They stepped onto the ground and started for home. As they walked through the evening chill, the Frog Creek woods seemed as familiar as ever. Yet somehow the woods felt different too. More mysterious and more alive, Jack thought. In the dark he heard things he usually didn't notice. The whispering of unnamed trees, the scampering of unknown creatures, the calls of unseen birds. I'd like to get binoculars like Teddy's, he said, to study birds. How about a magnifying glass like John's, said Annie, to study rocks? Yep, and a telescope to learn about stars, said Jack. And a guidebook about trees, said Annie, and a sketchbook for drawing them. Definitely, said Jack. I'd like to learn bird calls, too. I can teach you some, said Annie. Thanks. I could teach you what I know about stars, said Jack. Perfect, said Annie. Jack and Annie quickened their steps and bounded out of the Frog Creek woods. High in the purple sky, the first star of the night shone above them as they ran for home. The end. Well, we did it, Halflings. We finished another Magic Tree House book, number 35 of the Magic Tree House series. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. I hope you guys have had as much fun as I did. Just a reminder to help support the channel and help us grow. If you could leave a like if you liked this read aloud, that would be awesome. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Until next time, take care. Bye, Halflings.